Hello and welcome to today's edition of Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness. How do you get to the road to human kindness? You change the world from being a debtor world to a charitable world. And we can do that right here in the United States first. And that's what this program is all about. How can we use social charity to change the country from being 30 trillion in debt to 30 trillion in endowment to nonprofit organizations? Right now, the government supports a lot of NGOs, which doesn't make much sense. They're supporting non-governmental organizations. They really should be supported by the community and by philanthropy. And part of our website, the socialcharity.org website, if you haven't been to it, by the way, you should go and visit it because it's got a lot of information and how we're looking to do this change, how this quantum change can take place. So we're building a model. We're building a model that requires the public to become educated about certain sections of the tax code they may not be aware of. One of them is Section 664. And so Route 664 is to get people to understand that 664 is a section you can use just like a 401k or a 529. It's something you can benefit from. When do you use that? You use that when you have transactions that may be beneficial to avoid taxes, where you want to change the structure of how your financial penalties come about. Instead of having a financial penalty, you can turn that sometimes into a gift. And that's the philanthropic side of the planning that we're talking about when we talk about social charity. But on the website, there is a portion of our white paper which defines how we're going to get to this 30 trillion in support to NGOs, to the non-governmental organizations. And part of that, one part is voluntary social charity, which is available now, and that's in the form of pooled income funds, charitable gift annuities, and also charitable remainder trusts. But the other part of it is an involuntary, a mandatory part. And we believe that there should be a first generation of young Americans who start to use social charity as the new generation's social security. And it involves actually the idea of conscription, where we're trying to get young people to be part of our active society and become a more involved in the community, more involved in how we can take care of things, how we can change the world for the better. And they can do that by creating or having created for them a social charity account. My guest today is Amy Brand, and Amy deals with students and deals with sustainable gifts and an entity called Philanthropy Tank. She is the CEO for Philanthropy Tank. And Amy, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Les. Thank you so much. Glad to be on the show today.
Yes, and I'm glad to have you, because what we can talk about is exactly what we see for the future. And you're a very integral part of that, in my mind, with the work that you're doing with Philanthropy Tank. Could you give us a little thumbnail sketch of what Philanthropy Tank is? How did it evolve and so on?
Certainly. Well, we're relatively young. It's the 7th season of us being an active nonprofit organization, but the concept really came from our co-founders, Evan Jewell and Michael Kohner, years ago. And I think you recently interviewed Michael Kohner.
Yes.
Years ago, they had this idea. They were working through a program they were involved with at the time called CAP, which is Chartered Advisors Professionals. It's an accreditation you can receive as a financial advisor. And they were working with high school students. They were creating this opportunity for them to be involved and volunteer. From that, the concept grew. Obviously, Shark Tank was taking off, and that was a program that they each enjoyed. And the thought was, how can we do this in such a way that, exactly what you were just mentioning, we can engage young people in understanding how they can be a part of their communities, how they can take an active role in that and make some change, make some impactful change, and address issues that are occurring in their own neighborhoods. And so from that, Philanthropy Tank was born. We are an organization that engages and empowers young people to create social impact programs. And
let me just stop you for 1 second. Tell me how you get the kids involved. I want to say this: you have 18 years of experience as a professional philanthropic advisor.
A little bit more. I'm not a financial advisor, but I've been in in this professional nonprofit role for 29 years now.
Okay,
So,
good. So you're a little bit of an advisor. You're just not an investment advisor,
right? Correct.
Yeah. So and I applaud you for that, because this profession that we're in is really valuable to the community. Tell me, you're now in Baltimore. I know you started in Fort Lauderdale, so take me back a little bit. Let's go back to like last year. How did Philanthropy Tank? How did you solicit the young people to be part of Philanthropy Tank?
Well, we do a lot of outreach efforts. Les, we go out to the schools. We also talk to students who are in non-traditional school environments, alternative schools, home schools. We also worked, you mentioned Baltimore, which we've expanded to that market a couple years ago now. And we work with organizations and nonprofit agencies that are working with teens, in a lot of cases at-risk teens, underserved teens, that just are looking for ways to direct their energies in a positive way to respond to things that are troubling them. So when we go out to speak with students, we talk just to them about, what is on your mind? What are you passionate about? What, if you had the resources, could you change? Would you want to change? And from that builds these programs, which are, wind up being very impactful in their communities.
How many? Because I was at one of the competitions actually in West Palm Beach.
Yeah.
It was very impressive. Was a completely filled audience, a completely filled auditorium, and the youngsters come up and they make a presentation. How do they get to that point? How do they get to that level of being able to make the presentation to some philanthropists who will be supporting them if they like what they're doing?
Yep, it's a pretty rigorous grant process, if you will. It's an open application cycle. But the application we help them work through, because it can be a little daunting. You're being asked about your concept, how is it different? And if there's already a program that exists, how are you elevating that in the community? Questions about succession planning for the sustainability of the program. And then we always ask, and they submit budgeting, which is what our sharks, if you will, our philanthropist investors evaluate on. And so if they decide that they would like to champion a program, they award the budget to implement and launch that program in the coming year. That's how it works. But the students, we work through their ideas. Sometimes we have really off the ground ideas that we have to rein in. Limited resources sometimes, but it's really interesting to
they get over their skis, huh?
Yeah, to hear their ideas, because it all comes from them and it's student driven. I mean, the adults in the room help guide it, but it's the students running the show.
So how long have you been with Philanthropy Tank now?
This will be my third year with Philanthropy Tank.
Okay. How would you say it's changed over the last since it was organized? What has made it better in your mind?
You know what? A lot
and why is it sustainable?
Yep, a lot has changed. I think, well, to answer the latter part, I think why it's sustainable is it's very pure. And the students are at the heart of it. I think that's what always gets us back to our center, is that we want it to be about the students, and we want it to not be a adult agency inflicted idea. It's really got to come from the student, and then we grow it. How we've grown is, I think we've just matured as an organization. We're getting much better at working with the students and making sure the programs are feasible. And I think from that, and again, with all the other things that come as growing as an organization, structure, governance, board development, really excellent volunteers who are really committed to the mission, all those things, being careful about how we grow, and being very aware that we want to never be seen as again, barging into a community. We want to understand the community, which we did with Baltimore. We met with a lot of people there, but
can you tell me some of the ideas that the kids had in Baltimore?
Yeah, Baltimore, I think that's the thing. It's been interesting coming out of these last couple of years, certainly, as I mentioned, what's on the minds of students. But we're working with Baltimore City, and the students are really deep into some heavy hitting issues. Human trafficking. We have a program called Not for Sale that works with that, engaging young people that have been affected and providing self-esteem and empowerment training. We have a program called Memory Creations. That's a garden that was created, and they're going to be duplicating the gardens from abandoned lots in Baltimore, but it's for victims of gun violence.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's a
we have
good
a
idea.
podcast.
That's a really good idea.
We have less a podcast. They're coming after your job, I think. But we have a podcast of students, and they're talking about issues that, are on the minds of teens. And so a lot of really great programs.
So the involvement, how long does it last for a long time with these kids? Is there,
Yeah.
I know that you're doing succession planning with them. Obviously, they're also getting an amazing experience, financial, about financial things in general, which most of them, I don't know. Do you find that the kids today have much financial background when they get into these, when they come to you in the request to become part of this?
Not really. And we actually have a couple programs about financial literacy in the Palm Beach County market that are teaching elementary students on how to budget and plan. I think that's one of the elements that all of our students learn in general. There's not much, in the old days, I used to have those classes in high school. They don't have those anymore. So I think it's interesting to talk to them about being in control of a budget, running a not-for-profit. Those are things that they learn and skills that they learn by going through the program. And
so you're benefiting the students and benefiting the school board in essence, because you're actually providing something that you're paying for through the nonprofit. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean,
the services are paid for by the nonprofit, so it's a benefit to the school system, right?
It's part of our funding for programming that we not only start these nonprofits, but we have workshops and curriculum for them to learn various skill sets.
That's amazing. So how many nonprofit organizations would you say you've created that are still in existence and that have been in existence for more than 1 year?
So we've launched 55 programs since we started 7 years or 6 years ago. We're just entering our 7th year, as I mentioned. We have a third of our programs that have gone on to get their 501c3 designations and have gone on to establish their own nonprofits, which we're really proud of. And 85% of our programs that we started are still active and running, years later. We're starting to see our first class of alumni, of people that have, gone through high school, gone through college, and now they themselves are entering the nonprofit scene as a professional, whether that's a board member, volunteer, or a paid job. They're now getting involved with the community. So we're growing our new nonprofit leaders.
So you're basically, these kids are becoming nonprofit business people.
Exactly.
And so
that's what we want to see.
Yeah, exactly. And that way it doesn't have to rely on outside sources. It can if people support what they do, they'll be able to raise the money that they need. I don't know how many of these are endowed. Are there any that are working on endowing themselves? Do they understand the principle of endowment?
They understand the principle, and that's probably not at this point. But, is that the future of what we do? Potentially, yes. I think, again, we're now going through that phase that we have alumni and we're looking at linkages to internships and job placement. And so that's kind of the next phase of Philanthropy Tank. And I think going deeper as well. But, we'd like to see that come into the full circle of what we do. But but not quite yet.
Okay. So I must commend you, and again, the idea. I mean, Shark Tank. I remember the very first time it was on the air. I had actually a client that was trying to sell something on Shark Tank. I think he was successful, but I don't know how long it lasted. But in any case, that program has gotten quite a lot of popularity, especially among young people. A lot of the people that approach them sometimes are young people, and so. Philanthropy Tank makes a lot of sense, and the involvement in the way that you're approaching it, where you have the ideas of the children, not children, but the young people who are driving this, and they're concerned about what they think is important, and they get other people to agree with them, I guess, and that's how they start a nucleus of a Philanthropy Tank contestant. Is that how that works?
That is, yes, exactly how it works. Because I think the root of the program is, again, their passion, their interest in furthering their idea. That's what's so critical, again, that we don't want it to feel like an extracurricular assignment that's being put upon them. This has to really be from them to want to stick with it. And to, so again, you find students who are passionate about the environment, passionate about their neighbors, passionate about, sports. I mean, it really, in a number of ways, it's interesting how the programs evolve. And when I mentioned sports, it was somebody who was realized through their experience that not everyone gets the opportunity to play sports or have access to sports equipment or materials or uniforms or shoes. And that's how that, again, it's making that connection for them to understand what they can provide to the community. And that one student now has a working relationship with all the Boys and Girls Clubs. And so the partnerships that come from this, we want them to learn how to network, how to connect, how to be creative and innovative in resources. And, they're learning important business skills as well along the way.
So would you say this is a humanities course? We're all about human kindness here. This is Route 664, the road to human kindness. Would you say that what you're seeing in these young people epitomizes that?
Absolutely, without question. I think that's what's good to see, creating empathy, understanding others that don't have it in the same, don't have things, don't have resources, students that themselves don't have resources and don't have opportunities, being given those opportunities and seeing how they can help others. It's a great life lesson. And I think it is teaching human kindness. It is talking about how you can make that difference and feel a part of it and not feel like you have to be in the back seat, to be able to be in the driver's seat in this case and really control the direction and the trajectory of these programs has been life-changing. And we call these change makers. They themselves are making change, but they are being changed through the process.
Mm-hmm. And they're part of the quantum change that
Exactly.
we expect to happen. And so I want to thank you very much for joining us this morning. My guest is Amy Brand. Amy is the CEO of Philanthropy Tank, which is based in West Palm Beach and is also now expanding to Baltimore, has expanded to Baltimore. We would actually like to expand it here into Dade County. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that with my other hat. So, Amy, thank you very much for being our guest today. Amy, if you want to find information about Philanthropy Tank, Amy, is there a website that they can go to? Are there programs coming up that folks can enroll in, or what's coming up on the agenda? Amy, you there? Amy's frozen. It's like the play. Why is Amy frozen? Hello?
Hi, I'm here. I don't know why I was frozen, but I'm back.
Okay. Got scared there for a second. All right.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So how can folks find out more about Philanthropy Tank?
Sure. Visit our website, philanthropytank.org. You'll see all of our student programs and you can learn how you can get involved. We're always looking for mentors and coaches. And we hope to be expanding to an area soon near you.
Good. And we would like to put Philanthropy Tank on our site as part of our what we support as well. So we'll work towards that end. Thank you again, Amy, for being with us on Route 664, the road to human kindness. And certainly Philanthropy Tank is one of the bridges that'll get us there quickest, and will help our young people to feel better about this wonderful world that we live in. So thanks again, Amy, for all the work that you do.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yes. And so if you're right now, if you're out there and you're wondering whether or not you're going to have a Merry Christmas, great Thanksgiving, you could become philanthropic and really feel good during that period of time, because helping others is important. And if you can be philanthropic and also get some benefits from that, that's even better. Besides just the psychic benefits, you can get some favorable tax benefits, and you can also get some income benefits. So those are things that you can find more about on socialcharity.org. We're going to be starting podcasting. We don't know yet what the title of the show is going to be. We're going to be podcasting all of the interviews that we've done. We're going to try to do them on a condensed basis. We're going to also help you get the legends of Charity, the adventures of Charity, and her three wizards, Pithecus, Chigaro, and Cratius, and how they help save communities in the country and make things better, all through the power of charity and philanthropy. My next guest is Joe Gabris. Joe represents the Aventura Sunny Isles Beach Chamber of Commerce. He is the ambassador for the chamber. And good morning, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing great, Les. How you doing today?
Good. So I know that you're involved in a couple of campaigns. You told me about that earlier. Why don't you tell the folks about the two campaigns that we're involved in right now?
Sure. One of the campaigns that we're involved in right now is building a community-based charter high school. And
Okay.
we're picking up steam with that. We have several locations that we're looking into. And what
Okay.
we're trying to do is we're trying to build community support for it. Now, interesting and dovetailing to your last guest, Amy, this is something that we actually want to include into the curriculums, probably something that's not offered, whereas we actually want to stimulate critical thinking, and we want to see that children do thrive making their reality and making their future. Yeah.
Good. And that's going to be part of the plan when you're looking to build a high school. You want to expand its reach, I guess. And I know that Safe Schools, Great Schools is working with you, as well as the Endow American Network Foundation, because we are a member of that Chamber of Commerce. And so we have opportunities for people to take advantage of the philanthropic planning, and also to help their community by creating and helping to support a high school and the other schools in the community, the schools that need to be safe and great. So what's the other campaign? I know you're on a mission to increase membership.
Yeah.
And so tell us about the memberships at the Aventura Sunny Isles Beach Chamber of Commerce.
Sure. Our membership drive has started this month, and so far I think we have 3 new members, and one of our members.
All right, you sound like you're playing the piano with your tongue. All right.
Great
I don't know what
connection
that
here.
is, but I'd like to get more of that. Joe, I think we're going to have
3 new
take a
members.
break.
We have 3 new members.
Anyway, Joe Gabris, the ambassador. Okay. It's not working. What are we getting? An echo? In internet connectivity. Okay. All right. We're gonna have to strengthen our cyber attack on the country here. In any case, I'm Les Winston, and I am the spokesperson for socialcharity.org. That is a project of the Endow American Network Foundation. My guest today was Amy Brand and Joe Gabris briefly, and we want you to go down the road to human kindness, Route 664. You can find out more about the Social Charity tools, especially now towards the end of the year when tax planning really has an impact. After December 31st, it's a little bit tough. But before December 31st, you can do a lot of tax planning. You can find ways to reduce taxes using philanthropic tools, the social charity tools of charitable remainder trust, charitable gift annuities, or pooled income funds. Those are the ones that are the social charity devices. You can learn more about what our organization is all about by reading our white paper, which is on socialcharity.org, and you can see how we use voluntary social charity and mandatory social charity to lower the debt, lower the national debt by taking some of the burden off of government, by removing some of the support that they have to give to NGOs, non-governmental organizations. They shouldn't be supporting them in the first place. But we want to take the burden off of them. We want to make it easy for the communities to serve the needs of the people through their nonprofit organizations, through their NGOs. And that's the goal. And we'd like to do that in a big way. And it can be done. Congress gave us the tools to do it in 1969. This is not something that is coming out of the blue. It's been here for a long time, but people just don't know about it. And so we want to educate you. That's Route 664, and it's also Section 664 and socialcharity.org. Visit us on Facebook and on YouTube, and look out for our podcasts, which will be coming up, and check in with our phenomenal radio station, our digital radio station, which can be found at route664.org/radio, route664.org/radio. We'll be with you again next week. Take care.